I started to pray now and then, asking God's help and guidance. And about a day went by where I didn't get high at all. And my wife came home from work and she went back to the bedroom and got high in the bedroom, and she's smoking a joint. And I went back there to try and straighten things up with her, and I'm telling her, look, sweetie, we can work this out. We need to work it out. I'm telling you what happened, and it's just demon spirits, and, I'm telling her all this. And now she's kind of acting nice for the first time in a while. And she's telling me, look, just get high and we'll talk about it. Come on, just smoke this. And I said, no, that's the whole problem right there. I just repented the other day and I really feel a difference. I don't want to get high anymore. I want to quit that. We need to straighten up. And she kept putting that joint in my face, and I gave in to it simply because I was trying to win her back, win her favor by compromising with her, and I started to get high with her. So as soon as the joint was gone and I got stoned with her on the joint, her whole attitude changed again, and she was just mean and hateful again. And I realized I got tricked into getting high by a demon. That's all that was, just a demon tricking me to get high again. So I went out into the living room and put my head in my hands and slumped down and just started praying, Lord, forgive me. Please forgive me, Lord, and help me, help me. You got to do something, get me out of this, save me from myself, because I just can't do it. I can't do it. And all of a sudden, as I was praying in my living room, I was no longer in my living room. I don't know if I was in my body or if I was out of my body. I don't know what happened. All I know is I wasn't there anymore. I was all of a sudden up in space, and I could see the stars. When I was looking around at the stars, I looked to my right and I saw Jesus. And when I looked at Jesus, he was looking at his hand. He had his hand out in front of him, and he was looking at it, and floating up above his hand was the planet Earth, about the size of a golf ball. When I saw the planet Earth about the size of a golf ball, that's when I realized how big he was. And all of a sudden, something pushed me away from him at a really phenomenal speed, and I went away from him till he got smaller and smaller, and until Jesus just disappeared. And now I was in a totally different place. Now I was in hell. And this part of hell that I was in, I never knew that there was different levels and different parts of hell. But I did know instantly at this time, because I'm there, and when you're there, you know a lot of things as far as where you are in the spirit realm. Your whole spirit is just in tune with what's going on in the spirit realm. And I knew the part of hell I was in. I was in a part of hell called outer darkness. And Jesus mentioned outer darkness in the Bible a few times. In this place, there's no God. God does not exist there. And I realized that since God wasn't with me, there was no love, no hope, no sense of hope at all. It was like a pure sense of hopelessness that was just overwhelming. And the loneliness of being separated from God himself was just unbearable. And I'd never felt anything like it in my life. And I remember as I looked around, I saw in heavenly places out in space floating around, I could see like the people on the earth. I knew they were on the earth, but I didn't see them on the earth. I saw them out in space somewhere, floating here and there. And around them was like a golden light. And I knew that that light that they were inside of was the presence of God, keeping them and sustaining them, giving them breath and life and hope and love and joy, and every good thing that the heart can sense, which really is the Spirit. And every good thing that the heart can sense comes from God. And I knew that instantly when I never knew it before. But I didn't know what I had until it was taken from me. I didn't know, there's a saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Well, when God was gone, when I was gone from God's presence, I realized all love comes from God. Anytime you love someone, it's coming from God. And the people, when I looked at them with that golden light around them, I also saw that they did not acknowledge that light. They didn't give it any acknowledgement. They paid it no mind. Even though that light gave them everything, they gave it nothing back. They didn't love it back. They didn't appreciate it, and they didn't care about it. And some of them, they'd rather even didn't even want it. But I wanted mine back again. I wanted God back. And I remember how jealous I was of those who had what they had, and I didn't have it anymore, and I was wanting it back so badly. And the fear and the horror and the terror of hell was just overwhelming me, until all of a sudden I was back in the living room again. When I was in the living room, I ran back to the bedroom again, and I told my wife what I saw. And I was telling her, I saw hell, it's horrible. It felt like I was buried alive at the bottom of the ocean. It was so lonely, and it was so horrifying, and the pain, the spiritual pain was just incredible. I couldn't stand it, and I'm telling her all this, and she just laughs and tells me, shut up, I don't want to hear about that, you liar, and she didn't believe me. So after I told her, I just went off back out into the living room and prayed some more, and really, I couldn't work with her. I couldn't work with her on anything, at any level, for anything. She was just completely had her mind made up. She's going to leave, and that's it, and she wants to smoke her pot, and that's it. So anyway, the very next day, actually, that same hellish feeling came back again. I was at home, and my wife was at work, and all of a sudden that same hellish feeling came back. I didn't leave my body or travel anywhere this time, but the same horror and the same hopelessness would come over me strong, just like it did when I was there. And I'd start to pray and call on God to help me again. And after this encounter, I did not touch that dope ever again. But I started calling on God, and it would happen every day. And for a couple of days while my wife was still there, it kept happening, and I kept telling her about it. And she really didn't understand or didn't believe me or whatever, but she just kept on with what she was doing. And I remember at one point I was plucking gray hairs out of my head, because I was getting gray hairs on the left and right side of my head because of the overwhelming hopelessness and horrors of hell that I was feeling. But finally the day came when she was leaving, and the day that she was leaving, she had a bag of dope in her hand, and she had her car packed, and she's ready to go. And I pointed at the dope, and I told her, look, you see that bag of dope in your hand? And she goes, yeah. And I said, do you remember the dream that you had that you lost me to marijuana? And she kind of looked at me, kind of stunned. Because when she told me the dream, I automatically assumed, and I guess she did too, that the dream meant that I left her, because she was crying and she was upset over it, and she thought I was going to leave her. But the reality of it was that she left me because she really chose the dope more. Because I really wanted to straighten up the marriage, and I told her, I want to straighten it up. I'll do whatever you want to do, and we'll straighten it up. But she had her mind made up. And I know that it was a demon spirit. I know it, because when I saw that shadow come up out of the ground, I know what was going on. And I was praying for her and praying for her. But every day I needed God's help because of what was happening to me when I was feeling that hell. The hell would hit me like waves every day. Every morning when I'd wake up, I'd dread the fact that I'm alive and that this thing is real, because I knew I was going to suffer that day. I knew that I was going to be tormented from hell. I remember at one point, I prayed and I asked God, how long is this going to last? And he told me, he just said a little while. But I heard him in my spirit. I didn't hear him audibly. But I prayed and asked God to help me to take away this hellish feeling. And what I felt like was that I had left him, so he left me. I felt like I'd ruined my life, my marriage, and everything. And what does he want with a loser like me? But see, the thing is, he wants a loser like me, not because of me, but because of how wonderful and loving and kind and merciful he is. He's a loving, merciful God. And he loves me, and I know that now. I didn't know it then, but I know it now because of how wonderful he is. He is a loving God. And it's the devil that tricks people into thinking that he doesn't love you. So anyway, eventually I just kept on praying and praying until God gave me a vision. And still I'm not believing that he really loves me at this point. I'm thinking he doesn't love me, he doesn't want anything to do with me because of what I've done. I've messed up my life, and I went back to watching horror films and smoking dope, and all this garbage ruined my marriage, lost my job. What does he want with me? So I'm still calling on him though, and I'm believing that he'll give me a miracle, he'll do something, because I really didn't want to go to hell. I did not want to go to that place I saw. And one day as I'm praying, I had a vision of my wife Connie in a chair, and she's sitting in this chair slumped over, and she's crying. And she sits up straight, and as she sits up straight, she sticks her chest out and takes in a real deep breath. And as she does, this real pretty white light comes up out of her chest, and it floated away. When it floated away, at the same time, I remembered a dream that I had had the night before. And in this dream that I had the night before, I dreamt that she was still on drugs and that she had committed adultery, because we were not divorced, we were only separated. So I got all this information in one vision, and I was wondering if it was true, because I wasn't experienced with having visions and God talking to you in visions. But the Bible says that he'll talk to you in visions and in dreams. But I didn't know that at the time. So I called her on the phone and I asked her, I said, Connie, do you feel like you've lost your innocence? And she was surprised, and she said, yeah, how did you know? I haven't told anybody. And I said, well, the Lord showed me in a vision. He also showed me you committed adultery and that you're still doing drugs. You better quit, because hell's real. I saw hell. You need to quit that. And I was getting really angry at her, especially because she had committed adultery. And she hung up, and I hung up, and I'm sure we fought about it. I don't remember exactly. But now I really hated her again. And I hated the guy she was with, and I wanted to kill him. And now I'm getting mad at God for showing me this, because I'm saying, what'd you show me that for? Now I'm just going to go kill this guy. And I know you don't want me to kill him, but I'm gonna. And to make a long story short, he dealt with me, the Lord dealt with me, and I figured, well, God is smart. He's not going to show me something to cause me to go do evil. And I put two and two together, and finally, with God's help, only with God's help, was I able to forgive this guy. And only with his help was I able to keep on going. And when I forgave, it's like all of heaven opened up, and there was some kind of a breakthrough for me. And now God can work with me at a better level or something. So anyway, I got over that hump, and I'm still praying because I'm still feeling that hellish feeling every day. And one day as I'm praying, I had another vision. Now in this vision, it started like a little white dot, and then it opened up into like a cloud, and then the cloud opened up into like a frame, and inside the frame was the picture of the vision I saw. And in the vision, what I saw was a wooden desk and an angel sitting at that wooden desk. And he was writing in a book, and there was two other angels around the desk. And the two that were around the desk, they just looked at me really puzzled. Like, what's wrong with this guy? And I was sitting there looking confused at them, wondering, what are they staring at? And we're sitting there staring at each other for a little while, and it disappeared. And I prayed, I said, Lord, what was that about? What was that? And I felt that the Lord told me that my name was written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And I remember I said to the Lord, I said, Lord, is that all you can do? I need more than that. I mean, that was a blessing and it helped me. But I needed more because of the amount of hell that I felt was just more than I could bear. But that did help me for a day or two. And I continued on and kept on praying, calling on God, telling him that's not enough. Just seeing an angel writing in a book, I need more than that. Because I really still didn't believe that he forgave me, that he really, really did love me. I never believed that he could still love me after I messed up the way I messed up. And that's really what was in my heart. I know that now, that that's really what I needed to know.